we will be looking at the journey of the heart of the hero as the foundation behind the hero version of the scalar heart connection process. In previous videos, we've talked about how our life experiences help us to reconnect with our higher self. And here we have the image of Eros, also known as Cupid, where his arrows pierce our heart and motivate us to learn the lessons of love. So it is said that when we are struck by Cupid's arrow, we fall in love. But who we're learning to fall in love with is ourselves. And in learning to love ourselves, we learn to love others, we learn to love the planet, and we learn to love the universe, and most importantly, we learn to love love. It is though the ocean, this ocean of love, has waves, and these waves wash up to shore, and it is here that we find ourselves like bubbles in the foam of waves being stranded on this beach. And we begin to think that our bubble existence is our reality, and we become unaware that we were part of the ocean, and we get so preoccupied with our bubble self that we lose sight of the big picture. And it is through Cupid that helps motivate us through our experiences to learn to begin to seek a bigger picture, to help us learn that we are more than just ourselves, that we are part of the ocean. And so our journey back to wholeness is our journey back to the ocean of love. And that journey back to wholeness requires courage, because we have to face all the parts of ourselves that we're not in love with, and to learn to integrate all of our experiences and understand the journey as being one back to wholeness, back to that ocean of love. And that's why I refer to the journey of the hero as the journey of the heart of the hero, because here we are mustering all of our strength to take this wonderful, fantastic journey through life. And indeed, it takes a heart of a hero. It was Joseph Campbell who pointed out that through mythology, through different stories told by every culture from the beginning of time, have always this common link, this common thread, or a common story, where there is a hero that takes an adventure. And he or she goes through these different experiences or these different stages that every hero must pass through in order to go through the final transformation back to wholeness. And according to Joseph Campbell, stage one is home. It is where we are home, minding our own business. We're living our day-to-day life, and it is here where we're comfortable and we're not motivated to take a journey. But yet the universe wants to call us back. The ocean is looking for us to motivate us to make that journey, so we get the knock on the door. That is the call. And the call is often something happens in our life that creates a big change. We might lose our job. We might find ourselves in a divorce, or something happens that completely changes our life. Those are the motivations that call us out of our comfort zone. But yet our mind gets involved. And our mind refuses the call because the mind is afraid of the unknown. The mind likes to be comfortable. The mind likes to know what it knows. But then there is always the stage where the mentor comes on the scene, where the mentor comes and helps appease our mind, gives us the confidence that yes, we can take this journey, we can do this. And the fifth stage is where we accept the call because we say, well, yeah, my mind was not really ready to take this adventure, but the mentor comes and gives us the confidence. And so we say, okay, I accept the call, I'm ready to take the adventure, especially if it's an adventure about saving the world, and I'll be a hero. It's in the sixth house that we realize that it's not quite as easy as just that there are trials and tribulations. It is in the sixth house where we learn that everything we thought was true was false. This is where we go through our life experiences, which are teaching us to move out of our ego-centered point of view and move into a more heartful, compassionate view of ourselves and the world. And that is the approach. The approach is where we have learned life lessons. We've begun to shed our ego-centered self and start to embrace a larger community. And we embrace the larger community through our heart and through heart consciousness. And it is only at that point that we can take on the great ordeal. And the great ordeal is when the hero faces the dragon or the hero faces Darth Vader. This is where we face our shadows. This is where we face all the things that we don't like about ourselves. And if we can survive that, which we only do if we go into battle with our heart, then we reap the reward. And this is also the stage of the royal wedding. It's as though our lower self now comes face to face with our higher self. It is the celebration of our return home, back to the ocean of love. But every hero on their great adventure has to return back to home. And the return home can sometimes be more difficult than the journey there. And the reason for that is that now we have the reward. Well, now we have the power of the universe behind us. So the question is, are we going to use that power for good, for the benefit of mankind, humankind, or are we going to use that power for ourselves, for our own ego gratification? And if we can overcome the temptation to slip back into ego-centered consciousness and instead embrace the universe through the field of love, then we truly transform. And once we have made that great transformation, we receive the elixir. And the elixir for me is the merging of our consciousness with the consciousness of universal consciousness, that ocean of love. It was Nikola Tesla that says, if you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the key to the universe. For me, the mystery of the 3, 6, and 9 revealed itself through the quantum healing codes. Recall when we spoke about the quantum healing codes in earlier lessons, that the codes themselves and their harmonics create triangles. And one triangle, which are the codes 639417 and 741, create this beautiful triangle in our Metatron's matrix that actually is a 30-degree, 60-degree, and a 90-degree triangle, which took me back to what Tesla was talking about with the numbers 3, 6, and 9. By putting this triangle back into Metatron's cube and noticing that it provided a pointer to our issue, and also gave us the geometry of the square or the obstacle and the action, which is the opposition to the issue. And that triangle actually moves throughout the 12 houses of the zodiac. There are 24 different variations of this triangle, this 3, 6, 9 triangle within Metatron's cube. And when we ask our heart to show us a number 1 through 24, it will provide us with one of these archetypal hero patterns. For example, in this case, we're looking at the hero pattern 1, 5, 7. We see that the issue is pointing to the first house, the obstacle is in the 5th house, number 5, and the number 7 representing the action that we need to take in order to transform the issue. In this example, we could say that our issue being in the 1st house could be an issue where we are experiencing anger or anxiety, depression. We may be over-controlling, worrying. And what the heart is doing, it is giving us a deeper archetypal sense of what is the nature of our problem. What is that archetypal problem helping us to do in this situation? So in number 5, the obstacle, we find that the heart could be saying that we need to move out of being possessive or needy. Maybe we're being overly selfish. The opposite characteristics of the 5th house would be to step into our full individuality, our full creativity. And perhaps in the context of a session, maybe we're not fully embracing or fully appreciating our talents and our gifts. In order for us to move out of this, we need the help and the guidance of the 7th house, which is about partnerships, it's about sharing ideas, harmony. It's moving out of ego consciousness into we consciousness. So what I find is that when we look at this archetypal pattern, we can lay it over the issue and the obstacle and the action that has already come up in the session. And it just helps give the session a much deeper level of understanding. And in fact, we can view these triangles, these archetypal hero patterns, as part of that journey. And we can use these patterns to help guide us through our individual journey of the hero.